But because we have a marketing agency, a lot of my internal employees also do our own marketing. Because I can do it all doesn't mean I should do it all. Let's just say that. Welcome to episode 2 of the Gym Break Cast, where we talk to leadership within the studio space and we kind of just go through those visionary ideas and those operational ideas as we continue to evolve and grow our athletic driven brands. My host is myself, Zach Coleman. And like I said in our last cast, we kind of wanted to start these off a little bit different. We do our normal give and take with a guest on, and we're starting to do some more of these micro type podcasts, individual type podcasts to really help give you motivation. I have a purpose. I want to help guide you towards those dreams that you have. And how do I do that? I help give continued value through some of these podcasts and the experiences that I've seen within the field of marketing, branding, and just business ownership and ownership in general as we continue to persevere to make it to that next stage of growth for what we want out of success in our lives and our business. So today, I want to kind of go off of what we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the big no-no in the industry, which is the term marketing and being a marketing professional. Now, I want to kind of go off of that a little bit more in detail and kind of go off of a trend that I have seen in the industry for quite some time and how to really avoid that mistake as you continue to grow and you evolve your business, your brand, your studio, whatever you may have. This can kind of help everyone. It's going to be a little bit different depending on what range of ownership you are at, where you're at mindset wise, where you're at delegation wise. But I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about go from the plethora of the brick and mortar, the normal brick and mortar status, and kind of where you're at on that journey. So I want to start off by talking about marketing fatigue. I talk about it a lot, common term that I've kind of started to utilize a lot lately. And let me tell you a little bit about how this came up. I own a marketing agency, more so a branding agency, but we do marketing. We do a lot of warm marketing. But because we have a marketing agency, a lot of my internal employees also do our own marketing. Because I can do it all doesn't mean I should do it all. Let's just say that. And as I continue to see the trends in the industry, working with multiple sizes of studios, even up above as enterprise brands, and they do their marketing and they do their branding. Wow. I've seen a lot of different figures in the space, but I've seen a common trend, especially now that we have such a rise of AI and social media content out there, of having marketing fatigue. Part of the benefit of being a business owner is having the ability to understand where you are at, not just financially. Well, financially is a lot to do with it, but if you're in growth mode or in profit mode. Here's a common practice for any type of business. Starting off, validation phase, then you have your first growth phase. This is going to be the growth phase where you're really learning about employees. Yeah, we're not going to talk about startups here, completely different environment. This is just for business owners that may have had a small investment, or they're buying their first brick and mortar, or they're a franchisee and they're starting off small with 0 members or 0 clients in retail. You're going to go through the stage of, then you go through hiring. You're going to then go through the stage of hiring the right people. And then you're going to start realizing as you're hiring those right people, you need to bring consistency in. That's where the branding comes in. That's where the better solutions come in, the better type stuff. And that's what I would consider a stage 6, but I don't want to get into stages today. I want to get into marketing fatigue. Marketing fatigue, something commonly seen in businesses of, I would say, I'll just give a rough number here and I'll say 100 to 300K is a good number. I've seen it upwards of 500K as well, because they desperately want business. They desperately want, and I mean, I could say I've been there too, but I also own a marketing agency, like I said earlier. But back to my original point, I'm gonna kind of tell you a story to kind of get this ramped up and kind of give you an understanding of what marketing fatigue is, right? Because I own a marketing agency, I have employees that can do internal stuff and external stuff. And unlike what you might hear from most digital marketing agencies, I've kind of done the opposite. I wanted to be validated. I had an internal perspective of validation that I thought that I needed, which is pretty much gone now. For the most part, I've learned to be more authentic, learned to be myself, learned to become more of a leader. And that has continued to evolve and grow, which can be a whole different episode, but which forced me to do a lot of different marketing, test lots of different things until I finally found what worked, finally found what different within my business. First and foremost, I would say not every marketing or branding solution is going to work for every type of business. And I've seen a common trend, especially in the studio space, where, and you see these with large brands. And I mean, it may have worked 10 years ago, it may have worked 6 years ago. Let's come in and let's hire a whole bunch of sales reps. Let's take those sales reps and let's call everyone in our local area. That's, a sales and marketing tactic. And then they're like, I want to do social media management. I want to do all this organic content. I want to do all this social media. I want to be known all over the web, right? They want to be like the Nike of their local area. Or they say they have a big vision. They want to open hundreds of locations. They have a big vision and they take that vision and they don't take steps towards that vision. They just go right out and try to hit that goal in like a year. Stuff doesn't work, man. And that's what causes marketing fatigue. You hire 6 different agencies, you try 8 different things. Those marketing agencies accept you because, like I talked about yesterday, the taboo of marketing, go back and watch it if you want, but you're going to have agencies. Most agencies are commodity, they have a commodity. And so you have a pick of a litter of who you want to work with, especially in the studio space, where a lot of people are starting off and think they can do marketing, but that's besides the point. You're going to come through a perspective of, you think the best solution for your business is social media management. Nothing wrong with social media management, nothing wrong with trying things, finding what works. But let's be real. When you're a studio that's between $100,000 and $300,000 a year, and remember, this is just for one location. Once you start getting in the 3 to 7 location range and you're a boutique, completely different strategy. Or you're a corporate gym and you have hundreds of locations, right? It's a completely different strategy. But when you're a small brick and mortar, one person gym, social media is all you need. But there is going to come a time as you grow that social media the cost per click is going to be too high. It's not going to work anymore. You're going to plateau, for one. For two, remember that social media management, and why I say it's fatigue, is meant for larger e-com brands. They're meant for brands that have an income to spend $5, $10, $15,000 a month to just test. And if you're not there yet, which most aren't, even at the 3 to 7, which they should be having that budget, but if they're not, then something's wrong. You're burnt out. You have to have creative. You have to have copywriting. You have to have a good ads manager. You have to have a good funnel. Don't you feel like that's a little bit overcomplicated? You do these challenges over and over again, and you're probably at 250 still being the owner, going in there and doing all the organic posts. Hadn't even learned to trainers to do the social media posts, and they should be the sales reps, which reminds me, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I have a good partner that could come in and help you with that. But you kind of come in and you say stuff like, oh, we need to do all this miraculous stuff. We need to be known. Let's take your vision, let's break it down. Probably aren't even at a point where you've really realized your vision yet, or understood the importance of your vision yet. And you shouldn't be. Right now, you're in validation phase. That's why social media is good. Validate your services, your memberships, your basic offers, what's working. You want to validate and bring members in. Yes, it's what you want to do. But then you're going to get to a point where simple is just better. And I always like to say, like I was bringing up earlier, being a digital marketer, I hear lots of other digital marketers say you need to be online. In 2024, people want human connection. People don't want AI emails going back and forth. People want to work on their mental health. They want a place away from home, unless they have kids and they have to be at home more often. But even me, I have 3 young boys. I want to be at home and be present around them, but I need my time out. So marketing fatigue. How do you deal with marketing fatigue? Well, first and foremost, look at the basics. What's working for you right now? Social media ads working great. Stick with social media ads. Improve those social media ads. Word of mouth tends to be a great factor for gyms, and it still is. Back to my digital marketer, you're not going to hear a digital marketer say go with referrals. I think referrals are still king, especially in the local market. In a membership base, that advocacy is amazing and can grow steadily and surely. Let's think simple here. where do people find you? I think most of your audience is going through social media. This is where the visionary stuff starts to come in, right? This is where you start to think strategically instead of irrationally or towards just making the next dollar. This is where strategy starts coming in, right? Strategy becomes very important during, the next stage of business growth. You start becoming more of a leader. You start hiring management. You start hiring trainers that you think are going to stay on longer. Comes around values. We'll talk about that in a later episode. Find out what's working. Just from every single phone call I've had with every prospect, every client within the studio space, close rate is like a 50% compared to a 10% for a challenge. So I'm not saying challenges don't work, but there comes a time when you need to get that cost per click lower. You need to start focusing on more organic methods, and doing organic social media takes forever. Not going to be worth your while. You're going to have to do, again, marketing fatigue, hire creatives, content writers, years for brand awareness to really start to rise. It's good when you own the 3 to 7 because you can have a post work for multiple locations. Again, besides the point, how do people find you? Tell you right away, here are the 2 things that I do when I look for a gym. Number 1, search on Google, search on the maps, maybe not Google, any map online. How close is it to my house? Because this is a membership and this is something that I know that I'm going to go to every day. It's not like I'm going to do a service 1 time or 2 times. I want it as close to my house as possible. I want something that I can go to that's close enough for convenience. So I'm going to search on Google, which means where's the first place you want to be seen on Google? Be seen. Google Maps. Okay, Google Maps it is. Now, what's the second most thing that they're going to keep people in your gym longer? Customer service. I'm going to look at the gym. I'm going to call them, or I'm going to walk in to do an appointment, check it out. Atmosphere reminds me of me. The people I connect with them. I have similar values to them. Just connect with them. I connect with the brand, right? So we'll get into branding on a little bit of a different episode. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about branding versus marketing. But for now, for this, the marketing fatigue is you want to start just thinking simple and small. That's a good place to start. What's a good place that's working? Social media is working. Stick with social media. If it's not, or you're past validation stage and you're like, how do we start building much more better cash flow by predictability? Then you're going to be wanting to think about warm leads. I mean, local markets are all different, but they're all, the consumer is very predictable. Probably going to want to sign on in January. You're going to have 6 months of probably solid metrics, another 6 months of slower metrics. Use that to your advantage. So how do you do that? How do you go from a 20, we'll just say a 20% conversion rate with a 2-month retention to a 2 to 3 year minimum retention and a 50% conversion rate? You let them find you. Old days, you had billboards. Can do that. You could do direct mail pieces targeted towards the city. That's a good start. That's kind of a strategy if you do that right. But that's also marketing fatigue because then you're like all over the place. You're like, oh, do this. No, like just think about your Google business profile. Don't even think about your website yet. You need to have a website for your Google business profile, but like that's going to be where they find you. That's going to be where they look at you. They decide, oh, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Oh, I like this equipment here. Oh, I see the reviews. They're reviewing on the different trainers. They're reviewing on the environment, the experience. Oh, this matches my value. This person talked about how they like Bikram yoga, or this person talked about how they like the weight training classes, or the instructors being very helpful on food regiment, for instance. They have cycling bikes. I'm a cycler. I mean, it's an endurance. You're like a soul cycle, for instance. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you're utilizing that profile to be your first stop of positioning yourself. Now, there's much more strategy that goes into it, and not to get marketing fatigue. It's very basic. It's you attract people through the things that they type. It's like the yellow pages for all your different services, all your different experiences. So in short, I mean, marketing fatigue comes around. What causes marketing fatigue? Like I said, it's thinking you're bigger than you are. And this could come to a mindset issue. Maybe you have trouble thinking you're bigger than you are. Maybe you have an ego. Nothing wrong with that if you're willing to change. Maybe you need to build more confidence. Maybe you need to look back at your vision and why you're growing this place to begin with. Think about your local market. I bet you anything it depends on if you're in a rural area, city area, or what, but you're probably looking at a very bare minimum of 1 million people around you. You could be smaller than that. You could have 100,000, but that comes back to your original decision to open a location. How many people are around your area? Do you make a right decision on your first location? Maybe you need to move before you start building out an experience. But I really like to bring this up because I've had marketing fatigue. I'm a marketing agency. I've tried millions of different things. I have a different audience that you do. You have a consumer. I have a business owner, a marketing director. We have longer sales cycles. We have larger packages because we have like 8 people working on one project, one team. So I have to have a large amount of expenses to give you the results that you want. But that's besides the point. The point is, I had to take a step back and learn with where I'm at in business. I have to be strategic about the types of marketing I do. I have to step away from the passion of the internal of the business and allow my knowledge of the industry and basic business practices to allow me to make conscious decisions and not let myself do too much, hire too inflated for where I'm at. I had to go through that. It's where when I had my burnout, funny enough, a couple years ago, I had that burnout because I was marketing too much. I was getting no results and it was just turn and burn because I thought that's what I needed to do. But I learned, cut back. I now do marketing practices that fit more of my audience, help my audience. And so as I continue to evolve these one-off podcasts, I want to kind of try to do my best to give insight into something that you can do practically right now to possibly get out of the scenario or the situation. And most of these aren't going to be technical. Most of these are going to be personal or small strategy type situations that you can do that take like 5 to 10 minutes just to get an idea. So for today, let's look at your overall membership count. How did you get most of those members? How did you get most of those clients? What works and what doesn't work as well? Cut out everything that's not working, and just focus on the one thing that is. That's a good first start. Is there a time and a place to use multiple avenues? Yes, for sure. I always preach not allowing your marketing to be focused on one platform. That's where the omni-channel marketing approach comes in. But when you're small, it's all about perseverance, validation, building momentum as you continue to grow and make mistakes and fix those mistakes. And so that would be my tip for today. Focus on that, cut everything else out, find the one thing that's working. But let's say this though. Let's say you're focusing on something that's let's say you're doing cold calling. That could be a huge one. You have 2 sales reps in doing cold calling, percentage, probably small, probably have a lot of churn because they're probably just sitting at the front desk calling local people. You have this whole email campaign, this whole situation. You know how much money you could save if you turn that around and use that budget to possibly hire a trainer or an admin person for operations, or tried to start finding the right people in the right spots, and you took the rest of that budget and you started to focus on something a little bit more simplistic that works? I'm gonna leave it to you at this point. You're watching on our YouTube channel. What kind of marketing systems are you using? Do you have marketing fatigue? And if you do have marketing fatigue, how are you trying to solve that marketing fatigue? Again, Zach with Gym Break, another episode 2 here. And thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next one.